Gary Clark Jr., This Land. Which, that was the title track. This is the third full-length studio album, and to the degree, some people, to some extent, are wondering, I'm a little out of jurisdiction here. Yeah, but anyone who's seen my Facebook reviews, even if they're still up and existing, I don't know yet. I still need to check that, actually. Because if that's the case, whatever I had done, I gotta redo, probably. Oh boy. But anyway. And it's quite windy outside on top of all this. So I got this and a review to do on top of that. So anyway. Gary Clark Jr.'s This Land. Third length studio album. Apparently 15 total tracks, plus 2 bonuses. Highway 71, there's not really much to it. It's pretty much track 5, Feeling Like a Million. Just instrumental. And a lot more guitar driven. And for the most part, this album does start off a little more on a political type of edgier note. With This Land, with the opening title track, and then What About Us to some extent. I Got My Eyes on You. I don't know if I could say that one is Eyes on You, Locked and Loaded. I don't know about that one entirely, if you actually deep dive into that one a little more. And for the most part, his style has primarily, since his Black and Blue, his debut album Black and Blue, though he has been around a while in the 2000s, but didn't start blowing up until Black and Blue had come out. And tracks like, or more specifically, his Please Come Home EP got him a Grammy. And then he kind of gained a blues album Grammy eventually off of Black and Blue. And he's been gaining a lot of traction from artists such as... Sorry, gum. From such artists as Prince, which is where he's been a lot of compared to. And then, of course, Alicia Keys. The other one is someone that used to be apparently our president, and it's not that he doesn't have any fine taste, which he does, or else he wouldn't have gotten a great performance at his inauguration from Aretha. She still had it, and while she still had it in her before she had recently passed away last year. And a lot of his style is primarily blues rock, though that of the Texas blues bred style that was bred and born out of Austin, Texas, which he is one of the last few artists that were born and bred out of Austin, or at least within the vicinity of Austin. And actually had gained training through likes of Jimmy Vaughn, had been influenced, as far as being a guitar player, he had been influenced by Stevie Ray Vaughan, and had wound up eventually through Jimmy Vaughn, through his brother Jimmy, been mentored through him, and he became eventually to the guitarist he's known today, and the artist that he's known more for today, which his style is primarily blues rock with some hip-hop infused elements of R&B and soul. And there's some, and maybe a little bit on the jazz side, or at least some of that more hip-hop infused jazz, like from out of New York, to the extent where mixed in with the R&B, soul, and the blues rock style that he has, balances out, and it comes off very East Coast, it's very East Coast style hip-hop for sure. Maybe some little West Coast here and there, but there's definitely more New York feel to his style. Which, I mean, having covered a track like Bright Lights, Big City, which is a sort of an homage to an homage, I guess, to the nightlife. And, well, or at least something that shows off the pros and cons of the nightlife that is in New York City, of the Big Apple, so. Which he showcased in that record. And then he had a second album that was more about his younger stuff with Sonny with Slim, which I did review that one, and when I did review it, it was but by the time but it managed to make my year-end list eventually as it grew on me, and I started to notice little intricacies, even some shoegazy elements on like one of the last tracks on the record, which was interesting, and that really somehow worked really well. But anyway, this album, however, immediately in comparison to the story of Sonny Boy Slim, works so much better, and it's been, I don't know, I guess maybe 4 years since his last outing, so he had plenty of time to make a pretty solid outing here as well, and it does leave off more from the last record, but it has that certain feel that made Black and Blue as good as it was. I don't know how Rolling Stone feels about this record, and they're one of the few publications that actually talk about him, but he did pretty well. I was leery at first with This Land, with the drony little EDM thing that started it off, but when the guitars come in, that's when you're like, okay, now I'm a little more welcomed in from what I know of Gary and his particular more hip-hop-y, somewhat bluesy delivery, though sometimes he does get into that falsetto, sort of soulful falsetto, sometimes. And of course, Pearl Cadillac was a great choice in single. It definitely went over far better than I Walk Alone, the 4th track on this. And I like the instrumentals, but it's hard to really want to dive into them because of what happens because of the way his vocals decisions on this just. The funny thing about this record, I'm giving this a highly positive one. I'm already going to tell you that as far as I'm concerned, in comparison to that record, screw it. I'm going to say it kind of rocks. It's grown on me since I've had time to listen to it, for the most part, the album. But even though I can't full on say it's masterclass, even though I partially want to, if only tracks like I Walk Alone, like I said, didn't have those issues. I mean, though Feeling Like a Million does pick things up a little bit, and a lot of songs even Locked in. I Got My Eyes on You, Locked and Loaded. I Gotta Get Into Something was definitely. Ironically, the time frame in this track listing similar like Black and Blue with the more Chuck Berry rock and roll thing. This one isn't exactly that, but it has a certain vibe kind of like it. Even though it's technically, he said, is more punk rock track. And I do feel it for the most part, instrumentally, even though his lead guitars does have that moments, but it does come off a little more surf rockish, or at least in that proto-punk kind of way, or surf rock, garage rock in that proto-punk kind of way. And it works. And it works pretty well, and if his vocals don't seem punk rock, but it works, I'd say more in that, you could almost say it could qualify as maybe a punk bluesy track, in a way, more punk than blues, but a track with some bluesy elements in it. It's definitely with that old school rock and roll vibe that, like the Chuck Berry track of like Travis County. Gotta Get Up is, despite it being kind of a weaker track, but it's short, very short, and it's more of an interlude track, because all it is basically that line being repeated a lot, and it's more the instrumental that's the real highlight of the track, just in the same way as I Walk Alone. But I kind of prefer this, and I have more fun with it, and it's short and brief in comparison to I Walk Alone because of the way the vocal treatments for that were. And sometimes when he hits his higher notes, it's a little much. But then after that, we get into Feed the Babies, which is a really good, even though for some strange reason near the end I had this weird feeling things were going to be off. But then Pearl Cadillac happens at the right time, and it still holds up, and it's still one of his better tracks on this album. And the moment I heard it, it was the 3rd song he had released for this thing. It was between This Land, I Walk Alone was the 2nd one, which really kind of turned me off and made me worry about this record. But Pearl Cadillac was the song that made me realize I don't really have I shouldn't worry anymore. And eventually, when I got to listen to the album, I finally went back and listened to This Land, compared to the music video version, which had the weird shotgun thing, and then the little weird fuzzy thing, weird drone thing at the beginning that you've kind of heard. And one of the songs that's on in this, I knew that they added on like a clip of another song, which some music videos tend to do. Thrice has done this with Image of the Invisible. They had like a From Moths to Flame at the beginning of the song, like the piano thing and a little bit of the heavier guitar before they actually went into the actual song with the actual thing. They did the same thing here at the end of it with using the track The Governor, which surprisingly this album has 2 more old school country blues, country rural acoustic bluesy type, like old school blues, like old school roots blues type sound. Governor's one of them, and of course the dirty final track that ends this off in a pretty awesome way in Dirty Dishes Blues. Done with Tomorrow's fine. I feel like it's not as memorable, but it's not bad. I feel it, or at least I don't remember much on it because of it being in between The Governor and Dirty Dishes Blues, I guess, for some reason for me. It's fine. It's kind of, it's not as strong as some of the tracks prior to The Governor, but it's definitely far better. I know for sure it's far better than I Walk Alone. Maybe I'd put it even heel with Got to Get Up, probably, but this, for the bonus tracks, I was 71, like I said. It's take it or leave it with that. It's more of an instrumental. It's fine. But did that, as it's pronounced. That one is actually not too bad of his more hip-hop, soul, R&B kind of style. Like, Pearl Cadillac is, I'd say, I don't want to go as far as to compare it to something like with Prince in terms of Little Red Corvette or even Purple Rain, for that matter. Which is saying a lot, but for him, yeah, it's pretty solid. I do love some of the instrumentals, and he, now feed the babies now. Like when he gets in those type of high pitches. Guitar Man is definitely something that's, like, it's one of those things that there's something about the way he does his music that feels somewhat, kind of comes off genuine, even if I can't say I fully relate to his lifestyle choices. Since, you know, he definitely has a more almost rockstar lifestyle choice in the sense that somehow he winds up getting models. Kind of makes you wonder what he's packing down there. I don't know, but because that might be it. That, or he just knows between that and, you know, I don't know. I guess some girls get off on stroking the guitar. I don't know. I don't know anymore. It hasn't happened with me, so I don't know. I'm just saying. Of course, it helps that he has that kind of smooth voice to him, so he seems, a lot of the way he does his stuff is smooth delivery to the point where you understand how he can wind up dating models. If not having kind of married one, or at least had a baby mama from one, I don't. Or at least it's kind of suggested in Pearl Cadillac. I have yet to, forgive me if I don't do as much research into his actual life, but as I am more focused with just the music itself, and of course This Land and What About Us, and I feel like the videos do, if you check those out, I guess they give you the better message. And the only problem that This Land is a great track, but the only problem I do have is the SNL performance. Not on his part, it's more what SNL PCing him, and it just did not being able to work. I hope that the ACL one isn't as PC as much as that one too, because that would bum me if that was the case, because I feel like just bleep him out, that way we can still get the proper message of what he's trying to come across, because some people I even saw in the comment section misunderstood what he was saying. And how much, you know, because during most of the time in his past couple albums, it was essentially the Obama administration. And of course, he was one of his big supporters of his music. And this time it's Trump era stuff. And a lot of it, and a lot of given everything that has happened, even during the Obama administration, we had Ferguson was still around during that time, before Trump ever had become president, so there was some elements of that, I think, of things like that, and the whole police brutality kind of a thing, or at least, I guess, certain things with the law, I guess he has, because Travis County has kind of shown he has had some issue run-ins, or at least in his past, prior to his big success, maybe, more so. What About Us, I guess, is a good blue-collar-ish anthem for people who and how things with the generations, of how things come and go within generations. Is pretty much a song that I think is essentially meant to be played at strip clubs. Feed the Babies is definitely a good... He has his moments of being political, which there is a little bit more political stuff in it, but it's not it's not everywhere, and it's not so much. Besides This Land and maybe What About Us, I wouldn't say, and maybe The Governor, I wouldn't say this album is all that, and some elements of Feed the Babies. I wouldn't say that he's anywhere close to that with it. Was to being up there with the... I forgot what I was even saying. I apologize. Just hopefully you understood what I was trying to go for. But anyway, other than that, overall, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, a thumbs up. Definitely started just as a thumbs up, but then again, I think I first said rocks, then it wound up going to thumbs up, and now it's kind of went back to being rocks. Even more so since I was able to recommend it to a buddy of mine because I figured it would come closer style, and he liked what I showed him from Black and Blue. Never got to show him stuff from Story of Sonny Boy Slim, which was a nickname for him and all that. And yeah, he's definitely a good guitarist, and you can tell even with his own rigs, he likes to rely on using. Even I don't know if he has an influence in Billy Gibbons or not, but I know he does Hendrix, so it's a possibility that the fuzz thing is more the Hendrix thing, and of course his use of Tube Screamer, obviously for his Stevie Ray Vaughan influences. So he finds a way to mesh it together pretty well, I'd say. Though I don't know if he relies so much on the fuzzy stuff, as he has another guitarist in his little band thing that helps him out with that. So, but yeah, overall, Gary Clark Jr., you made an even far better album than you did the last one, and I just feel it's a shame that no one's giving you as much credit, probably because of the Prince thing, but I feel with having Prince's recent passing and everything, and with how the way the music industry has been lately, we need more of what you've been selling. It's not that there are probably other places that are like maybe like New York or even LA for that matter that like your stuff, or even of course your hometown, yet alone, or maybe even places like Atlanta that are more hip-hop oriented that probably do like your stuff, but for some reason in my area it doesn't get as much love, even though I do see it a lot in the jukebox thing, but it just doesn't get as much love to me, I don't believe, aside from maybe most of your stuff, which is a bummer to me, at least within my area, because I definitely highly recommend this album if you want something that's a change from all the trap BS and so on and so forth. So yeah, I really dig this album. Gary, you did pretty good now this time. I don't think I'm going to be changing my mind though, because I feel like whether or not I want to say could come back to this one more than Black and Blue is debatable, but it's definitely stepped back in an even better direction, and I hope he continues doing so. So, what did you guys think of Gary Clark Jr.'s This Land, or even just any of his albums in general, Black and Blue, Story of Sonny Boy Slim, since none of you here on YouTube have ever been able to have known much about me talking about him, so leave a comment below, let me know, I guess. Rock that like button on this video with thrust if you must. Hit that subscribe button. Also do this. Also do the same thing on the Facebook page and when you like and follow me there. And as always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. I'll see you in the next video, which I will be recording shortly. Take care, y'all.